What's the most important news you've heard recently? Well, I suppose for many of us, it is that the vaccines for COVID have been approved and will soon be rolled out nationwide and freely available to us all. That is a marvellous and amazing news. But what if there was something even more personal and relevant to us? Well, the very first verse of the first chapter of Mark's Gospel tells us that there is. Let me read it again for you. The beginning of the good news about Jesus the Messiah, the Son of God. You know, Mark in his biography, rather than telling us about Jesus' family tree or how he came to be born, that we've recently been reminded of and celebrated at Christmas, Mark gets straight down to business. You know, here I am standing outside of Bognor Regis Police Station, here in the parish of South Bersted, where I happen to be vicar. And for me, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, as well as having quite a bizarre surname, I also probably watched far too many TV cop shows and crime dramas. One of them that was different to the others was Columbo. Peter Falk played a homicide detective in the Los Angeles Police Department. And he would wear this kind of dirty kind of mac, and he would say, "Just one more thing. Just one more thing." Now, clearly my impersonation is rubbish. But what made Columbo different to Morse or Agatha Christie or Sherlock Holmes was that in the show we got to hear of the protagonist, the main character of the story. We were introduced to them right from the get-go. Normally, you have to wait to the very end to find out who done it, but not in a show of Columbo. What I want to say is that Mark's Gospel is a little bit like Columbo. We are introduced to the main character right from the outset. This is the beginning of the good news about Jesus, the Messiah, the Son of God. We're told of his identity. We are told that God's rescuing King has come. The one who would be the Messiah, that's from the Hebrew, the same word as Christ is from the Greek, meant God's anointed. Now, prophets were anointed, priests were anointed, and especially kings were all anointed as part of their initiation. Jesus, we're told, which means God to the rescue, is going to be God's rescuing King. You know, maybe one of the reasons why we don't always grasp the good news is because we haven't understood how bad the bad news is. The fact is that we have, because of our rebellion against God, we are in need of a rescue. We need forgiveness from God. That is our greatest need. And no matter how hard we try ourselves, by ourselves we cannot be forgiven. We cannot put ourselves in God's good books. Amazingly, God has provided a rescuer for us. And we're being introduced to him right now in the person of Jesus. Now, I don't know if this is brand new news to you or whether this is something you've heard so many times before. But please, don't let familiarity breed contempt. How about taking a fresh look this new year at the person of Jesus and getting to know him better. You know, this word good news or gospel, it was the kind of word that was used that people love to hear and pass on when maybe a war had finished or maybe a cure for a global pandemic was found. This is news that we can't keep to ourselves. We must herald it, proclaim it. It is not just good advice, it is an announcement of the best news ever. Father, thank you for sending us your rescuing King. Thank you for the person of Jesus. And may he be my best news ever also. Amen.